This book is not just about quitting a habit, it's about reclaiming your mind, your energy, and your future. Porn has silently stolen countless hours, drained motivation, and reshaped how millions experience life, relationships, and even themselves. But what if you could break free? What if the energy you waste could be transformed into focus, power, and self-respect? Why You Should Quit Porn is your guide to understanding the science of addiction, the psychology of control, and the real path to freedom. Inside, you'll discover not only why porn damages your brain, your willpower, and your happiness, but also how you can rise above it, rebuild your strength, and create a life filled with clarity and purpose. This isn't just another book, it's a wake-up call. And to make the journey even more impactful, the audiobook is brought to life by the commanding voice of Julian Vance, guiding you through every step with clarity and conviction. If you're ready to stop being controlled and start living fully, then let's begin. Chapter 1: The Illusion of Pleasure. Adult content promises quick happiness, but delivers fake satisfaction. It's like eating cotton candy when you're starving. It tastes sweet for a moment, but leaves you hungrier than before. Your brain gets tricked into thinking it's getting something valuable, but really it's getting nothing at all. Think about the last time you watched adult content. How did you feel afterward? Probably not amazing. Maybe guilty, empty, or frustrated. That's because your brain was promised real satisfaction but got fed artificial pleasure instead. It's like your mind ordered a delicious meal but got served a picture of food. This fake pleasure works by hijacking your brain's reward system. Every time you watch, your brain releases chemicals that make you feel good for a short time. But here's the trick: your brain starts needing more and more of these chemicals to feel the same way. It's like needing louder music to feel excited, or spicier food to taste flavor. The problem is that real life starts feeling boring compared to this artificial excitement. A conversation with friends, a sunset, or accomplishing something at work doesn't give you the same chemical rush. Your brain starts thinking these normal, healthy pleasures aren't worth it anymore. But here's what's really happening: you're training your brain to ignore real happiness. Every time you choose the fake pleasure, you're telling your mind that artificial satisfaction is better than genuine joy. You're building a habit that makes real life seem gray and uninteresting. The truth is, adult content doesn't actually satisfy the deeper need you're trying to fill. You might think you're looking for physical pleasure, but what you really want is connection, excitement, or relief from stress. Adult content gives you none of these things. It's like trying to cure thirst by looking at pictures of water. When you understand this illusion, you start seeing adult content for what it really is: a fake solution to real problems. It promises to make you feel better, but it actually makes everything worse. It's like a medicine that claims to cure your headache but actually causes more pain. Your brain is incredibly smart and adaptable. Right now, it thinks adult content is helping you, so it keeps wanting more. But once you show your brain that real life is actually more satisfying, it will start craving real experiences instead. You just need to give it a chance to remember what genuine pleasure feels like. This is why quitting isn't just about stopping a bad habit. It's about rediscovering what real satisfaction means. When you stop filling up on fake pleasure, you become hungry for authentic experiences again. Food tastes better, conversations become more interesting, and achievements feel more rewarding. The journey starts with recognizing that what feels like pleasure is actually stealing your ability to feel real joy. Once you see this clearly, the choice becomes obvious. You can keep chasing fake satisfaction that leaves you empty, or you can choose real experiences that actually fill you up. How your brain gets hijacked. Your brain wasn't designed for the modern world. It evolved thousands of years ago, when the biggest excitement in life might be finding food or meeting someone attractive. Back then, these exciting moments were rare and special. Your brain learned to pay extra attention to them and remember them well. But adult content takes this natural system and overloads it completely. It's like your brain is expecting to see one attractive person every few months, but instead gets shown hundreds every day. Your poor brain doesn't know how to handle this flood of artificial stimulation. What happens next is both fascinating and scary. Your brain starts changing its structure to handle this overwhelming input. It's like a city building bigger roads because there's too much traffic. But in your brain's case, these bigger roads make you need more and more stimulation to feel normal. Scientists call this tolerance, and it happens with many addictive substances. The first time someone tries coffee, one cup keeps them awake all night. After drinking coffee daily for years, they might need 3 cups just to feel awake. Your brain adapted to the caffeine by becoming less sensitive to it. The same thing happens with adult content. What excited you when you first started might seem boring now. You might find yourself looking for more extreme content, or watching for longer periods, or feeling like normal attractions in real life aren't exciting anymore. This isn't a moral failing or a weakness in your character. This is your brain doing exactly what it's supposed to do, adapting to its environment. Unfortunately, adult content creates an artificial environment that your brain can't handle well. The changes happen gradually, so you might not notice them at first. It's like gaining weight. You don't wake up one day, suddenly overweight. You slowly get used to needing more stimulation, more extreme content, or more frequent sessions. What used to be an occasional habit becomes something you think about constantly. Your brain also starts connecting adult content with other parts of your life. Maybe you watch when you're stressed, bored, or lonely. Over time, your brain learns that these feelings mean it's time to watch adult content. So whenever you feel stressed, bored, or lonely, your brain automatically suggests the solution. This is called cue-based craving, and it's one of the trickiest parts of any addiction. Your brain isn't just craving the activity, it's learning to crave it in specific situations. Fighting these cravings feels impossible because they seem to come from nowhere and feel incredibly strong. But here's the hopeful part. Your brain's ability to change works both ways. Just like it learned to crave adult content, it can learn to stop craving it. Just like it became tolerant to normal pleasure, it can become sensitive to it again. The same adaptation power that created the problem can solve it too. The process takes time because your brain needs to physically rewire itself back to normal. Think of it like getting back in shape after months of not exercising. Your muscles need time to remember how to be strong again. Your brain needs time to remember how to find satisfaction in normal experiences. During this rewiring process, you might feel frustrated, bored, or like nothing is exciting anymore. This is completely normal and temporary. Your brain is literally rebuilding itself to find joy in real life again. Every day you don't watch adult content, you're helping this healing process move forward. Understanding how your brain got hijacked helps you be patient with yourself during recovery. You're not fixing a simple bad habit, you're helping your brain remember how to work properly. This takes compassion, time, and trust that your brain wants to heal just as much as you do. The real cost of fake intimacy. Adult content promises connection, but delivers isolation. It shows you images of people, but you're always alone while watching. It displays physical intimacy, but you never actually connect with anyone. It's like being hungry and staring at pictures of food. It might trigger your appetite, but it never feeds you. Real intimacy requires vulnerability, communication, and mutual care. It's messy, complicated, and sometimes awkward, but it's also deeply satisfying because it involves genuine human connection. When you're intimate with someone who cares about you, you feel seen, accepted, and valued as a complete person. Adult content skips all of this complexity and jumps straight to physical imagery. It removes the person, the relationship, the communication, and the emotional connection. What's left is just visual stimulation without any of the elements that make intimacy actually fulfilling. Over time, this creates unrealistic expectations about what intimacy should be like. Real partners have feelings, preferences, bad days, and their own needs. They communicate verbally, not just physically. They want emotional connection along with physical attraction. They're full human beings, not just bodies performing for your entertainment. When your brain gets used to the artificial version, real intimacy can feel disappointing or difficult. Real partners might seem too complicated, too demanding, or not exciting enough. You might find yourself thinking about adult content even when you're with someone you care about. This doesn't mean you're a bad person or that you don't care about your partner. It means your brain has learned to prefer artificial stimulation over genuine connection. Just like someone who eats too much sugar might find that healthy food tastes bland, consuming too much adult content can make real intimacy feel unsatisfying. The tragedy is that real intimacy is actually much more fulfilling than anything you can watch on a screen. Being truly close to someone who knows and accepts you is one of life's greatest pleasures. But you can't experience this if your brain is constantly comparing real people to artificial performances. Adult content also teaches unhealthy lessons about how intimacy works. It suggests that physical attraction is the only thing that matters, that consent is automatic, and that everyone is always ready for physical intimacy. None of this is true in real relationships, where emotional connection, communication, and mutual respect are essential. These false lessons don't just affect romantic relationships, they can impact all your connections with people. When you're used to viewing others primarily as objects of physical attraction, it becomes harder to see them as complete human beings with their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Many people find that quitting adult content dramatically improves their ability to connect with others. They become better listeners, more empathetic partners, and more present during conversations. They stop mentally comparing everyone to artificial images and start appreciating the unique qualities of real people. The path back to genuine intimacy starts with recognizing that what you've been consuming isn't actually intimate at all. It's a performance designed to trigger arousal, not create connection. Real intimacy involves two people who care about each other, sharing vulnerability, trust, and mutual pleasure. When you stop settling for fake intimacy, you become available for the real thing. Your brain starts remembering that authentic connection feels better than artificial stimulation. You begin valuing emotional closeness along with physical attraction. You become capable of the kind of deep, satisfying relationships that actually fulfill your need for connection. This doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. Every day you choose real human interaction over artificial content. You're training your brain to value genuine connection again. You're preparing yourself for the kind of intimacy that actually satisfies your deepest needs for love, acceptance, and belonging. Breaking free from the cycle. The cycle feels unbreakable, but it's not. Right now, you probably have a pattern that feels automatic. Certain feelings trigger cravings. Cravings lead to watching. Watching leads to temporary relief, and relief turns into guilt or emptiness. Then the cycle starts over, often within hours or days. Breaking this cycle doesn't require superhuman willpower or perfect self-control. It requires understanding how the cycle works and creating small interruptions that gradually weaken it. Think of it like water wearing down a stone. You don't need massive force, just consistent pressure in the right direction. The first step is recognizing your personal triggers. Most people watch adult content when they're feeling specific emotions, stress, loneliness, boredom, anger, or sadness. Your brain has learned that these feelings mean it's time to seek the temporary relief that adult content provides. Start paying attention to what you're feeling right before you get the urge to watch. Don't judge these feelings or try to change them immediately. Just notice them. You might realize that you always crave adult content when you're procrastinating on work, or when you feel rejected, or when you're lying in bed unable to sleep. Once you identify your triggers, you can prepare alternative responses. If you usually watch when you're stressed, you can prepare a list of other stress relief activities: taking a walk, calling a friend, doing push-ups, or taking a shower. If you watch when you're bored, you can prepare engaging activities that capture your attention. The key is having these alternatives ready before you need them. When you're in the middle of a craving, your brain isn't thinking clearly. It's focused on getting the quick relief it's used to. Having a pre-planned response makes it much easier to choose differently. Another powerful strategy is changing your environment. If you usually watch in your bedroom, spend less time there during vulnerable hours. If you watch on your phone, keep your phone in another room when you're likely to feel triggered. If you watch late at night, create a bedtime routine that doesn't involve devices. Environmental changes work because they interrupt the automatic pattern. When your usual cues aren't available, your brain has to think consciously about what to do next. This creates space for you to make a different choice. You'll also need to handle the uncomfortable feelings that come up when you don't follow your usual pattern. When your brain expects its usual relief and doesn't get it, you might feel anxious, restless, or frustrated. This is normal and temporary, but it's also the hardest part of breaking the cycle. During these difficult moments, remember that discomfort is not danger. Your brain is just adjusting to a new way of handling stress, boredom, or loneliness. The feelings will pass, usually within 10 to 20 minutes. You can help them pass by staying active, breathing deeply, or focusing on something that requires your attention. Each time you successfully interrupt the cycle, you make it a little weaker. Your brain starts learning that it can handle difficult feelings without adult content. You begin building confidence that you're stronger than your cravings. The cycle that felt unbreakable starts developing cracks. Recovery isn't about being perfect, It's about interrupting the cycle more often than you follow it. Some days you'll make different choices, and some days you'll fall back into old patterns. What matters is that overall, you're moving in the right direction and treating yourself with compassion throughout the process. The cycle loses its power gradually, like an engine that runs out of fuel. Each time you don't feed it, it gets weaker. Each time you choose a healthier response to difficult feelings, you get stronger. Eventually, the cycle that once felt automatic becomes just an old memory of something you used to do. Reclaiming your energy and time. Think about how much time and mental energy adult content takes from your life. Not just the time spent watching, but all the related times searching for content, thinking about it during the day, dealing with guilt afterward, and managing the impact on your relationships and responsibilities. Many people are shocked when they honestly calculate how much time they spend on adult content-related activities. It might be an hour here and there, but those hours add up quickly. Over a month, it could be 10 to 20 hours. Over a year, it could be 100 to 200 hours or more. That's time you could spend learning new skills, building relationships, pursuing hobbies, or working toward your goals. But the time cost is just the beginning. Adult content also drains your mental energy throughout the day. You might find yourself distracted by thoughts about content you've watched, or planning when you'll watch next, or feeling guilty about watching yesterday. This mental background noise takes up brain space you could use for more important things. When people quit adult content, one of the first things they notice is having more mental clarity. Their minds feel cleaner and more focused. They can concentrate better at work or school. They're more present during conversations. They have more mental energy for creative thinking and problem solving. This happens because your brain isn't constantly managing the conflict between what you want to do and what you think you should do. Right now, part of your mind is probably always thinking about adult content, either craving it, planning to watch it, or feeling bad about watching it. When you quit, all that mental energy becomes available for other things. You'll also reclaim emotional energy. Living with any addiction is emotionally exhausting. You're constantly fighting internal battles, making decisions about when and how much to indulge, and dealing with the aftermath of choices you regret. This emotional labor is tiring even when you're not consciously aware of it. Without this constant internal conflict, you'll have more emotional energy for positive experiences. You might feel more enthusiastic about your hobbies, more patient with your family, or more motivated to pursue your goals. It's like removing a heavy backpack you didn't realize you were carrying. The energy you reclaim can transform your life in unexpected ways. You might finally start that project you've been putting off, reconnect with old friends, or develop new interests. You might find yourself more motivated to exercise, eat well, or take care of your living space. Good changes in one area of life often spark improvements in other areas. Time and energy aren't just practical resources, they're also expressions of what you value. When you spend hours consumed with adult content, you're communicating to yourself that this is what deserves your attention. When you redirect that time and energy toward meaningful activities, you're reinforcing that these activities matter to you. This shift in how you use your resources also builds self-respect. Instead of feeling like you waste time on things you later regret, you start feeling proud of how you spend your days. Instead of feeling controlled by impulses, you feel empowered by your choices. This positive cycle makes it easier to maintain healthy habits. The practical benefits extend beyond personal satisfaction. You might become more reliable at work because you're not distracted or tired from late-night sessions. You might be more present in your relationships because you're not carrying guilt or shame. You might have more money to spend on things you actually enjoy because you're not paying for adult content subscriptions. People often say that quitting adult content feels like waking up from a fog. Colors seem brighter, experiences feel more vivid, and they remember what it's like to be genuinely excited about life. This isn't just metaphorical. When your brain stops being overwhelmed by artificial stimulation, it becomes more sensitive to natural pleasures. Reclaiming your time and energy isn't just about productivity or efficiency. It's about remembering that your time and attention are precious resources that deserve to be invested in things that actually improve your life. Every hour you don't spend on adult content is an hour you can spend building the life you actually want. Building real confidence. Adult content might seem like it boosts your confidence by providing fantasy scenarios where you feel powerful or desirable. But this artificial confidence doesn't transfer to real life. In fact, it often does the opposite. It makes you feel less confident in actual social situations because reality can't compete with fantasy. Real confidence comes from genuine accomplishments, authentic relationships, and self-acceptance. It's built through facing challenges, developing skills, and proving to yourself that you can handle whatever life brings. This kind of confidence feels solid and permanent because it's based on real experiences and actual capabilities. When you rely on adult content for confidence boosts, you're essentially borrowing confidence from fantasy scenarios. It's like using a credit card. You get temporary buying power, but eventually you have to pay it back with interest. The temporary confidence boost from adult content often leads to longer periods of feeling insecure or inadequate. Many people find that adult content actually makes them more anxious in social situations, especially around potential romantic partners. They might worry that they'll be compared to the unrealistic performances they've watched, or they might feel like they don't know how to interact naturally without the artificial scenarios they've internalized. Building real confidence starts with small, achievable goals in areas that matter to you. Maybe you want to get better at conversations, learn a new skill, improve your physical fitness, or develop a creative hobby. Each time you make progress toward these goals, you build genuine self-esteem based on actual accomplishment. Physical fitness is particularly powerful for building confidence because it provides clear, measurable progress and makes you feel strong in your own body. You don't have to become an athlete. Even regular walks, basic strength exercises, or simple stretching routines can make you feel more capable and energetic. Learning new skills also builds lasting confidence. When you can play a musical instrument, cook a good meal, fix something that's broken, or have an interesting conversation about a topic you've studied, you feel valuable and capable. These abilities belong to you permanently, unlike the temporary confidence boost from fantasy content. Developing authentic relationships is another powerful confidence builder. When people know the real you and choose to spend time with you anyway, it proves that you're worthy of connection and friendship. These relationships also give you opportunities to practice social skills in low-pressure environments. Real confidence also involves accepting your imperfections and limitations. Everyone has things they're not good at, physical features they don't love, or social situations that make them nervous. Confident people acknowledge these realities without letting them define their self-worth. They focus on their strengths while working to improve in areas that matter to them. This kind of self-acceptance is impossible when you're constantly comparing yourself to artificial perfection. Adult content presents unrealistic standards for appearance, performance, and desirability that no real person can match. When you stop exposing yourself to these impossible standards, you can start appreciating your actual qualities and achievements. Many people discover that quitting adult content dramatically improves their social anxiety. Without the constant comparison to fantasy scenarios, they feel more comfortable being themselves around others. They become better conversationalists because they're not distracted by artificial imagery. They feel more present and authentic in their interactions. True confidence is also built through integrity, living according to your values and keeping promises to yourself. Every time you choose not to watch adult content when you're tempted, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. Every day you maintain healthy habits, you reinforce that you're someone who follows through on commitments. This integrity-based confidence is particularly powerful because it's completely within your control. You can't control how others perceive you or whether external circumstances work in your favor. But you can always choose to act in alignment with your values, and this choice builds unshakable self-respect. The confidence you build without adult content is qualitatively different from artificial confidence boosts. It's quiet rather than flashy, steady rather than temporary, and based in reality rather than fantasy. It makes you feel capable of handling real challenges and worthy of genuine relationships. This is the kind of confidence that actually improves your life and relationships over the long term. Discovering your authentic self. Adult content doesn't just affect your sexuality, it shapes your entire identity. Over time, the artificial images and scenarios become part of how you think about yourself, relationships, and what you find attractive or interesting. Quitting gives you the chance to discover who you actually are underneath these external influences. Many people realize they don't actually know what they genuinely find attractive without the influence of adult content. They've been exposed to so many artificial images that their natural preferences got buried. When they stop consuming this content, they often discover that their authentic attractions are quite different from what they thought they liked. This process of rediscovering your authentic preferences can be surprising and liberating. You might find that you're attracted to qualities in people that you never paid attention to before: kindness, humor, intelligence, or creativity. You might realize that some physical features you thought were important actually matter very little to you when you're connecting with someone as a complete person. Your interests and hobbies might also change when you're not spending mental energy on adult content. Many people discover new passions or rediscover old ones they had abandoned. Without the artificial stimulation, they become more curious about real-world activities and experiences. Some people find that their creativity improves dramatically after quitting. This makes sense. Creative energy and sexual energy come from similar sources. When you're constantly channeling that energy into artificial stimulation, less is available for creative expression. When you redirect it, you might find yourself more motivated to write, make art, play music, or solve problems creatively. Your social personality might also evolve. People often become more genuine and relaxed in social situations when they're not carrying the secret burden of adult content consumption. They feel less shame about their private behavior, which makes them more confident and authentic in their interactions with others. You might also discover that your values are different from what you thought. Many people find that adult content conflicts with their deeper values about relationships, respect, and human dignity, but they hadn't fully acknowledged this conflict. When they quit, they feel more aligned with their authentic moral compass. This alignment between your behavior and your values creates a sense of integrity that improves every area of your life. You feel more honest with yourself and others. You make decisions more easily because they're based on what you actually believe rather than conflicting desires. You feel proud of how you spend your time and energy. The process of discovering your authentic self isn't always comfortable. You might realize that some of your preferences, interests, or behaviors were heavily influenced by artificial content rather than your genuine nature. This can feel unsettling, but it's also an opportunity to make conscious choices about who you want to be. Some people worry that without adult content, they'll become less interested in sexuality altogether. This fear is understandable, but usually unfounded. What actually happens is that your sexuality becomes more authentic and integrated with the rest of your personality. Instead of being compartmentalized and shame-based, it becomes a natural part of how you connect with others. Your authentic self is also likely to be more integrated, meaning that your private behavior aligns with your public persona. This integration reduces internal stress and makes you feel more genuine in all your relationships. You don't have to manage different versions of yourself for different situations. Many people describe feeling like they're coming home to themselves when they quit adult content. They recognize the person they're becoming as someone they used to be before artificial stimulation became a regular part of their life. It's like removing layers of external influence and rediscovering your original personality. This authentic self is usually more interested in genuine connection, meaningful activities, and personal growth than in artificial stimulation. Your authentic self values real experiences over virtual ones, depth over intensity, and quality over quantity. Discovering this person is one of the most rewarding parts of the recovery process. The journey of self-discovery continues long after you quit adult content, but it begins the moment you decide to stop letting artificial images define your preferences, interests, and identity. Every day you live without this external influence is a day you can learn more about who you actually are and who you want to become. Creating a life worth living. The ultimate goal isn't just to stop watching adult content. It's to build a life so engaging and fulfilling that artificial stimulation becomes irrelevant. When your real life is exciting, meaningful, and satisfying, you won't need to escape into fantasy because you'll genuinely prefer your actual experiences. Creating this kind of life requires intentional effort, but it's absolutely possible. It starts with identifying what genuinely matters to you, not what you think should matter or what others expect to matter, but what actually brings you satisfaction and meaning. These might be relationships, creative projects, physical activities, learning opportunities, or ways of helping others. Many people discover that they've been neglecting activities they used to love. Maybe you played sports, made music, read books, built things, or spent time in nature. Adult content might have gradually replaced these activities, leaving you feeling bored and looking for artificial excitement. Returning to authentic interests often reignites genuine enthusiasm for life. Building meaningful relationships is particularly important. Humans are social creatures who thrive on connection, support, and belonging. When you invest time and energy in your relationships with family, friends, and community members, you create a network of genuine support that makes life feel rich and worthwhile. This doesn't mean you need to be constantly social. Some people find deep satisfaction in solitary activities like reading, crafting, gardening, or meditation. The key is choosing activities that genuinely engage you rather than serve as distractions from boredom or difficult emotions. Physical health also plays a crucial role in life satisfaction. Regular exercise, good nutrition, adequate sleep, and time outdoors all contribute to mental clarity, emotional stability, and physical energy. When you feel strong and healthy in your body, you're naturally more optimistic and motivated to engage with life. Learning and personal growth create forward momentum that makes life feel purposeful. This could involve formal education, but it could also mean developing skills, reading about topics that interest you, or challenging yourself to try new experiences. The sense of progress and capability that comes from learning is deeply satisfying. Contributing to something larger than yourself also adds meaning to daily life. This might involve volunteering, mentoring someone, creating something that helps others, or working toward causes you care about. When your actions have positive impacts beyond your own immediate gratification, you feel more connected to your community and purpose. Financial responsibility, while not glamorous, also contributes to life satisfaction by reducing stress and increasing your options. When you're not spending money on adult content subscriptions or dealing with the productivity cost of the habit, you have more resources to invest in experiences and goals that actually improve your life. The process of creating a fulfilling life takes time and experimentation. You might try activities that don't work out, pursue interests that turn out to be temporary, or discover that your preferences change as you grow. This exploration is part of the journey, not a sign that you're doing something wrong. One of the most powerful aspects of building a meaningful life is that it creates positive momentum. When you're engaged in activities you genuinely enjoy, you feel more energetic and motivated. This energy makes it easier to maintain healthy habits, build relationships, and pursue goals. Success in one area supports success in other areas. You'll know you're succeeding when you stop thinking about adult content regularly. Not because you're forcing yourself not to think about it, but because your mind is naturally occupied with more interesting and satisfying things. When your real life becomes genuinely engaging, artificial alternatives lose their appeal. The life you create without adult content won't be perfect, but it will be authentic. It will have challenges, disappointments, and ordinary moments along with joy, accomplishment, and connection. This mixture of experiences is what makes life feel real and meaningful, unlike the artificial intensity of fantasy content. Remember that creating a fulfilling life is an ongoing process, not a destination. You'll continue growing, changing, and discovering new interests throughout your life. The foundation you build by choosing real experiences over artificial ones will support this lifelong journey of becoming who you're meant to be. Your journey forward. Starting this journey takes courage. You're choosing to give up something that provides immediate gratification in exchange for benefits that will develop over time. This requires faith in yourself and trust in the process, especially during the difficult early days when you might question whether the changes are worth it. The first few weeks are often the hardest. Your brain is still expecting its usual stimulation and might create strong cravings when it doesn't get it. You might feel bored, restless, or emotionally flat. These feelings are temporary and normal. They're signs that your brain is beginning to readjust to natural levels of stimulation. During this adjustment period, be extra gentle with yourself. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating well, and staying physically active. Spend time with supportive people who make you feel good about yourself. Engage in activities that require your attention and give you a sense of accomplishment. You might experience what people call flatline, a period where nothing feels particularly exciting or interesting. This can be discouraging, but it's actually a sign that your brain is healing. Just like someone recovering from a loud concert might find normal sounds seem quiet for a while, your brain needs time to become sensitive to normal pleasures again. The recovery process isn't linear. You'll have good days and challenging days, periods of progress, and times when you feel stuck. Some days you might feel proud of your progress, and other days you might doubt whether you're making any changes at all. This up and down pattern is completely normal and doesn't mean you're failing. If you have setbacks, and most people do, treat them as learning opportunities rather than failures. What triggered the setback? What was happening in your life at the time? What could you do differently next time? Each setback teaches you something valuable about your patterns and helps you develop better strategies for the future. Building a support system can make the journey much easier. This might include trusted friends or family members, support groups, therapists, or online communities focused on recovery. Having people who understand what you're going through and can offer encouragement makes you feel less alone and more motivated to continue. Track your progress in ways that feel motivating rather than pressuring. This might mean keeping a simple calendar where you mark successful days, writing brief journal entries about how you're feeling, or noting positive changes you observe in your mood, energy, or relationships. Set realistic expectations for yourself. Change takes time, and expecting too much too quickly can lead to discouragement. Celebrate small victories, choosing a different activity when you felt triggered, having a day without thinking about adult content, or noticing that you enjoyed a conversation more than usual. Remember that this journey is about addition, not just subtraction. You're not just removing adult content from your life, you're adding authentic experiences, genuine relationships, meaningful activities, and personal growth. Focus on what you're gaining rather than what you're giving up. The benefits compound over time. Changes that seem small at first, better sleep, improved concentration, more authentic relationships, build on each other to create significant improvements in your overall quality of life. What starts as a decision to quit adult content often becomes a catalyst for positive changes throughout your entire life. Be patient with the process and trust that your brain wants to heal. Every human being has a natural capacity for growth, change, and recovery. Your brain is incredibly adaptive and will respond to the healthier choices you're making, even if you can't see the changes immediately. Years from now, you'll look back on this decision as one of the most important choices you've ever made. Not because it was the hardest thing you ever did, but because it opened the door to living as your authentic self and building a life based on genuine satisfaction rather than artificial substitutes. The path forward is available to you right now. Every moment offers a new opportunity to choose real life over artificial alternatives, authentic connection over fantasy, and genuine satisfaction over temporary fixes. Your journey to freedom starts with the very next choice you make. You have everything you need to succeed. You have a brain that can heal and adapt. You have the ability to make different choices. You have access to real experiences that are more satisfying than anything you can watch on a screen. Trust in your capacity to change, be patient with the process, and take it one day at a time. Your authentic, fulfilling life is waiting for you. Chapter 2. The Brain Hijack. Your brain is the most powerful computer in the world. It controls everything you do, think, and feel. But what happens when something hijacks this incredible machine? What happens when your brain gets rewired in ways that work against you instead of for you? Today, we're going to explore one of the most important topics you'll ever learn about: how adult content literally changes the structure and function of your brain. This isn't just theory or opinion. This is hard science backed by decades of research from top universities and medical institutions around the world. Understanding this process is the first step toward taking back control of your life. When you know what's happening inside your head, you can make informed decisions about your future. You can choose the path that leads to genuine happiness, real relationships, and lasting success. The dopamine highway. Let's start with the basics. Deep inside your brain, there's a chemical called dopamine. Think of dopamine as your brain's reward messenger. When you do something your brain thinks is good for survival, like eating food when you're hungry or drinking water when you're thirsty, dopamine gets released. This creates a feeling of pleasure and satisfaction. This system evolved over millions of years to keep humans alive. Our ancestors who felt good when they found food, water, or a mate were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. So we all inherited this powerful reward system. Dopamine doesn't just make you feel good in the moment. It also creates motivation. When your brain anticipates something pleasurable, it releases dopamine before you even get the reward. This is what drives you to seek out good things. It's what gets you excited about your favorite meal or motivates you to work toward goals you care about. But here's where things get complicated. Your brain can't tell the difference between natural rewards that actually help you survive and artificial rewards that just trigger the same chemical pathways. Adult content is one of the most powerful artificial rewards ever created. When you view adult content, your brain floods with dopamine, often much more than you get from natural rewards. Your brain thinks you've just done something incredibly important for survival. It thinks you've just found the perfect mate or achieved something amazing. But you haven't. You've just watched pixels on a screen. This creates a problem. Your brain starts to prioritize this fake reward over real ones. It begins to crave the easy dopamine hit from adult content more than the slower, more meaningful rewards that come from real relationships, genuine achievements, and personal growth. The tolerance trap. Now let's talk about what happens when you repeatedly expose your brain to these artificial dopamine surges. Your brain is incredibly smart, but it's also trying to maintain balance. When it gets flooded with dopamine regularly, it starts to adapt. Think of it like this. If you live next to a train track, the first few trains would seem incredibly loud. But after a few weeks, you'd barely notice them. Your hearing would adapt to protect itself. Your brain does something similar with dopamine. When you regularly consume adult content, your brain reduces the number of dopamine receptors. It's like turning down the volume on your reward system. This means you need more and more stimulation to feel the same level of pleasure. What used to excite you becomes boring. What used to satisfy you leaves you wanting more. This is called tolerance, and it's the same process that happens with drugs and alcohol. Your brain adapts to the artificial highs by becoming less sensitive to both artificial and natural rewards. The scary part is that this doesn't just affect your response to adult content. It affects your response to everything. Real relationships start to seem less exciting. Genuine achievements feel less rewarding. Activities you used to enjoy become boring. Your brain has been recalibrated to expect artificial highs, so real life starts to feel flat and gray. This is why people often report feeling numb or emotionally flat when they're regularly consuming adult content. It's not just in their heads. Their brains have literally been rewired to be less sensitive to the normal pleasures of life. The craving cycle. But tolerance is just the beginning. As your brain adapts to regular dopamine floods, something else starts happening. You begin to experience what scientists call incentive sensitization. This is a fancy way of saying that while you enjoy adult content less and less, you want it more and more. This seems contradictory, but it makes perfect sense when you understand the brain. There are actually two different systems at work here, the liking system and the wanting system. They're controlled by different brain circuits and different chemicals. The liking system is what makes you enjoy things. This system gets dulled by repeated exposure to artificial rewards. That's why veteran users often report that adult content doesn't feel as good as it used to. But the wanting system, the system that creates cravings and compulsive behavior, actually gets stronger. This system becomes hypersensitive to anything related to adult content. A simple trigger can flood your brain with wanting chemicals, creating an almost irresistible urge to seek out adult content. This is why you might find yourself craving adult content even when you don't really want to watch it. Your brain has been conditioned to want it intensely, even though you might not like it very much when you actually consume it. This creates a frustrating cycle where you're driven to seek something that doesn't actually satisfy you. The wanting system is incredibly powerful because it's designed to ensure survival. In nature, wanting food when you're hungry or wanting water when you're thirsty keeps you alive. But when this system gets hijacked by artificial rewards, it can drive compulsive behaviors that actually harm your well-being. The sensitization effect. As this wanting system becomes more sensitized, your brain starts to form incredibly strong associations. Certain sights, sounds, times of day, emotions, or even smells can trigger intense cravings. Your brain has created a network of neural pathways all leading to the same destination, adult content consumption. These pathways become like superhighways in your brain. The more you use them, the stronger and more automatic they become. Eventually, triggers can activate these pathways so quickly that you find yourself consuming adult content before you've even made a conscious decision to do so. This is why willpower alone often isn't enough to break free from compulsive adult content use. You're not just fighting conscious desires, you're fighting unconscious brain circuits that have been reinforced thousands of times. You're trying to drive a different route while your brain's GPS keeps directing you back to the superhighway. The good news is that understanding this process gives you power over it. When you know what's happening, you can start to work with your brain instead of against it. You can begin to build new neural pathways and gradually weaken the old ones. The stress connection. There's another crucial piece to this puzzle, stress. When you're stressed, anxious, lonely, bored, or dealing with difficult emotions, your brain starts looking for quick relief. Adult content becomes an easy escape route, a way to temporarily flood your brain with feel-good chemicals and forget about your problems. This creates what psychologists call negative reinforcement. You're not just using adult content because it feels good, you're using it to avoid feeling bad. Every time you're stressed and turn to adult content for relief, you strengthen the association between difficult emotions and artificial reward seeking. Over time, your brain starts to see adult content as the solution to all emotional discomfort. Feeling lonely? Adult content. Feeling anxious? Adult content. Feeling bored? Adult content. Your brain stops developing healthy coping mechanisms because it has this one go-to solution that seems to work instantly. But here's the problem. This solution doesn't actually solve anything. It just temporarily masks the underlying issues. And over time, it often makes those issues worse. Regular adult content use can increase feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and depression. It can harm your ability to form real relationships and develop genuine confidence. So you end up in a vicious cycle. You use adult content to escape negative emotions, but the adult content use itself creates more negative emotions, which drives you to use even more adult content. The neuroplasticity factor. Now, here's where the story gets really interesting. Your brain has an amazing ability called neuroplasticity. This means it can literally rewire itself throughout your entire life. The same process that allowed adult content to hijack your reward system can be used to restore healthy brain function. Every time you make a different choice, every time you feel a craving but don't act on it, every time you choose a healthy activity instead of adult content, every time you face difficult emotions without escaping into artificial rewards, you're literally rebuilding your brain. At first, this process is incredibly difficult. Those superhighways to adult content are well established, and the alternative routes are just dirt paths. Your brain will keep trying to direct you back to the familiar route. You'll experience intense cravings, mood swings, and all sorts of uncomfortable feelings. But here's what's amazing. Every time you resist, you're paving those alternative routes. Every healthy choice makes the next healthy choice a little bit easier. Every day you go without adult content, your brain starts to rebalance its dopamine system. Your sensitivity to natural rewards begins to return. This process takes time, often months or even years, but it's absolutely possible. Thousands of people have successfully rewired their brains and reclaimed their lives. You can be one of them. The withdrawal reality. When you first start trying to break free from compulsive adult content use, you're likely to experience withdrawal symptoms. This isn't weakness or failure. It's proof that your brain has been physically changed by repeated exposure to artificial rewards. Common withdrawal symptoms include mood swings, irritability, anxiety, depression, difficulty concentrating, sleep problems, and intense cravings. Some people also experience what's called brain fog, a feeling like their thoughts are unclear or sluggish. These symptoms happen because your brain is trying to readjust to life without constant artificial dopamine hits. Remember, your brain has reduced its natural dopamine production and receptor sensitivity to compensate for the artificial floods. When you remove the artificial source, it takes time for your natural systems to bounce back. Understanding that these symptoms are temporary and normal can help you push through them. They're not a sign that something is wrong with you. They're a sign that your brain is healing. Every uncomfortable day is actually your brain working to restore its natural balance. The intensity and duration of withdrawal symptoms vary from person to person, depending on factors like how long you've been consuming adult content, how frequently you've been using it, and your individual brain chemistry. But the general pattern is the same. Things often get worse before they get better. This is why the first few weeks or months of recovery are so challenging. Your brain is essentially going through detox. It's learning how to function normally again without artificial stimulation. During this period, real life might seem incredibly boring or difficult. This is temporary, but knowing it's coming can help you prepare for it. The rewiring process. As your brain starts to heal, several incredible things begin to happen. First, dopamine receptors start to increase back toward normal levels. This means you become more sensitive to natural rewards again. Food tastes better. Music sounds more beautiful. Conversations become more engaging. The world literally becomes more colorful and interesting. Second, those superhighway neural pathways to adult content begin to weaken. Without constant reinforcement, the brain starts to prune these unused connections. It's like nature reclaiming an abandoned road. Gradually, the pathways become overgrown and harder to access. Third, you start building new neural pathways based on healthy behaviors. Every time you choose to exercise instead of viewing adult content, every time you have a real conversation instead of seeking artificial connection, every time you face your emotions instead of escaping them, you're building stronger, healthier brain circuits. This rewiring process is what scientists call experience-dependent neuroplasticity. Your brain is constantly reshaping itself based on your experiences and choices. The more you practice healthy behaviors, the more natural and automatic they become. This is why building positive habits is so crucial during recovery. You're not just avoiding negative behaviors, you're actively training your brain to prefer positive ones. You're literally sculpting your own neural architecture through your daily choices. The motivation system reset. One of the most profound changes that happens during recovery is the restoration of your natural motivation system. When your brain was hijacked by artificial rewards, you probably lost interest in many activities you used to enjoy. Goals that once excited you seemed pointless. Hobbies became boring. This wasn't laziness or lack of character. It was a hijacked reward system. As your brain heals, your natural motivation starts to return. You begin to feel excited about real achievements again. You start to find satisfaction in learning new skills, building relationships, creating things, and working toward meaningful goals. Your brain remembers what it feels like to be genuinely motivated by life itself. This return of natural motivation is often one of the first signs that your brain is healing. You might notice that you're more interested in talking to friends, more curious about learning new things, or more excited about pursuing goals. These are all signs that your reward system is rebalancing. The restoration of motivation is incredibly powerful because it creates a positive feedback loop. As you become more motivated to pursue healthy activities, you engage in more rewarding experiences. These experiences further strengthen your natural reward pathways and make recovery easier and more enjoyable. The emotional regulation recovery. Adult content use often becomes a way to avoid dealing with difficult emotions. Over time, this can severely impair your emotional regulation skills. You might find that you have trouble tolerating frustration, anxiety, sadness, or even boredom without immediately seeking escape through artificial rewards. During recovery, your brain learns to process emotions in healthier ways. At first, this can be overwhelming. Emotions you've been avoiding for years might surface all at once. You might feel like you're experiencing feelings more intensely than ever before. This is actually a positive sign. It means your emotional numbing is wearing off and you're reconnecting with your natural emotional range. Learning to tolerate and process these emotions without escaping into artificial rewards is one of the most important skills you can develop. As your emotional regulation improves, you'll find that you're better able to handle stress, more resilient in the face of challenges, and more capable of forming deep, meaningful relationships. You'll also discover that many emotions you thought were unbearable are actually quite manageable when you face them directly. The confidence transformation. Regular adult content use often erodes genuine self-confidence. It can create unrealistic expectations, promote comparison with artificial standards, and replace real social and romantic skills with artificial substitutes. Many people report feeling socially awkward, sexually inadequate, or generally less confident when they're regularly consuming adult content. During recovery, genuine confidence begins to return. This happens for several reasons. First, you're proving to yourself that you can overcome challenges and change ingrained patterns. This builds what psychologists call self-efficacy, the belief that you can handle difficult situations and achieve your goals. Second, as you stop comparing yourself to artificial standards and start engaging with real people in real situations, you develop more realistic and healthy self-perceptions. You learn to appreciate your authentic self rather than constantly measuring yourself against impossible ideals. Third, as you invest time and energy in real skills, relationships, and achievements instead of artificial rewards, you build genuine reasons to feel confident. You become more interesting, more capable, and more connected to others. This growing confidence creates another positive feedback loop. As you feel better about yourself, you're more likely to take on new challenges, form better relationships, and pursue meaningful goals. These experiences further build your confidence and make recovery even more rewarding. The relationship revolution. Perhaps nowhere is the positive impact of recovery more obvious than in your relationships. Adult content can seriously distort your understanding of intimacy, romance, and human connection. It can create unrealistic expectations, reduce empathy, and make it harder to bond with real people. During recovery, your capacity for genuine connection begins to return. You might find that you're more interested in getting to know people as complete individuals rather than focusing primarily on physical attributes. You might discover that you're more present during conversations, more emotionally available, and more capable of forming deep bonds. This improvement in relationship capacity isn't just about romantic relationships. Many people report that their friendships become deeper, their family relationships improve, and they feel more connected to their communities. They become better listeners, more empathetic friends, and more engaged community members. The ability to form genuine connections is one of the most rewarding aspects of recovery. Human beings are fundamentally social creatures, and nothing artificial can replace the deep satisfaction that comes from real human connection. As your brain heals, you rediscover this fundamental truth. The energy and focus return. Many people don't realize how much mental energy is consumed by compulsive adult content use. The constant cycle of craving, consumption, and guilt creates a background drain on your mental resources. You might not even realize how foggy and unfocused you've become until you start to recover. During recovery, mental clarity often returns dramatically. People report feeling more focused at work, more present in conversations, and more capable of sustained attention. They have more mental energy for creative projects, learning new skills, and pursuing challenging goals. This return of mental clarity and energy is partly due to the restoration of healthy dopamine function. When your reward system is balanced, your brain can allocate resources more efficiently. You're not constantly fighting internal cravings and conflicts, so you have more bandwidth available for the things that matter to you. The improvement in focus and energy often motivates people to take on new challenges and pursue goals they've been putting off. This creates yet another positive cycle where increased capability leads to increased achievement, which builds more confidence and motivation. The sleep and health benefits. Regular adult content use, especially late at night, can seriously disrupt sleep patterns. The blue light from screens, the arousal and subsequent crash, and the emotional turmoil that often follows consumption can all interfere with quality rest. During recovery, many people experience significant improvements in sleep quality. They fall asleep more easily, sleep more deeply, and wake up feeling more refreshed. This improvement in sleep has cascading benefits for physical health, mental clarity, emotional regulation, and overall well-being. Better sleep also supports the brain's natural healing processes. During deep sleep, your brain literally cleans itself, removing toxins and consolidating memories. Quality sleep is essential for neuroplasticity and recovery, so improvements in sleep patterns accelerate all other aspects of healing. The stress response reset. When your brain is constantly seeking artificial rewards, your stress response system can become dysregulated. You might find yourself feeling anxious or stressed more often, having trouble relaxing, or feeling constantly on edge, even when there's no real threat. This happens because the same brain circuits involved in reward seeking are also involved in stress response. When these circuits are constantly activated by artificial rewards, your baseline stress level increases. You might not even realize how stressed you've become until you start to recover. During recovery, your stress response system gradually rebalances. You become more resilient to everyday stressors, better able to relax when appropriate, and more capable of maintaining emotional equilibrium even during challenging times. This improvement in stress management has profound effects on both mental and physical health. Chronic stress contributes to countless health problems, from heart disease to depression to immune system dysfunction. As your stress response normalizes, your overall health and well-being improve dramatically. The creative renaissance. Many people discover that recovery unleashes a burst of creativity they didn't even know they had lost. This makes perfect sense when you understand how artificial rewards affect the brain. Creativity requires a certain amount of boredom and mental space. When your brain is constantly seeking artificial stimulation, there's no room for creative thoughts to emerge. During recovery, as you learn to tolerate boredom and reduce your dependence on artificial stimulation, your mind begins to wander in productive ways again. You might find yourself having new ideas, wanting to create art or music, or feeling inspired to solve problems in innovative ways. This creative renaissance often becomes one of the most rewarding aspects of recovery. Creating something meaningful, whether it's art, music, writing, or solving practical problems provides deep satisfaction that no artificial reward can match. It's a reminder of what your brain is truly capable of when it's not hijacked by artificial stimulation. The values realignment. Perhaps most importantly, recovery allows you to reconnect with your authentic values and goals. When your brain is hijacked by artificial rewards, it can be hard to know what you really want from life. Your natural compass gets distorted by the constant pull of artificial gratification. During recovery, your values and priorities often become clearer. You might discover that relationships matter more to you than you realized. You might feel drawn to contribute to your community, develop meaningful skills, or pursue goals that felt impossible before. You remember who you are beneath the conditioning of artificial rewards. This values realignment is crucial for long-term recovery. When your daily actions align with your authentic values, you experience a deep sense of meaning and purpose that no artificial reward can provide. You're no longer fighting against yourself. You're working toward goals that genuinely matter to you. The science of hope. Everything we've discussed isn't just theory or wishful thinking. It's based on solid neuroscience research conducted at major universities around the world. Scientists have used brain imaging technology to observe exactly how adult content affects brain structure and function. They've also documented the recovery process and shown that healing is not only possible, but predictable. Studies have shown that people who successfully break free from compulsive adult content use experience measurable changes in brain structure and function. Their dopamine systems rebalance. Their stress response normalizes. Their capacity for focus and emotional regulation improves. These changes can be seen on brain scans. This scientific evidence should give you hope. Your brain's current state isn't permanent. It's the result of specific experiences and choices, and it can be changed by different experiences and choices. The same neuroplasticity that allowed artificial rewards to hijack your brain can restore healthy function. The path forward. Understanding how your brain has been affected by adult content is the first step toward recovery. But knowledge alone isn't enough. You need to take action based on this understanding. You need to work with your brain's natural healing processes rather than against them. Recovery is challenging, but it's absolutely possible. Your brain wants to heal. It wants to return to healthy function. Your job is to create the conditions that allow this healing to occur. This means removing the source of artificial stimulation and engaging in activities that promote healthy brain development. Remember that recovery is not just about avoiding adult content. It's about building a life so rich and meaningful that artificial rewards become unnecessary. It's about developing real relationships, pursuing genuine achievements, and creating authentic reasons to feel good about yourself. The journey won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Every difficult day is an investment in a better future. Every craving you resist is literally rewiring your brain toward health. Every healthy choice you make is building the neural pathways that will support your long-term well-being. Your brain is incredibly powerful, and right now it's working against you. But with understanding, commitment, and the right approach, you can harness that same power to create the life you truly want. You can break free from the hijack and reclaim control of your most precious resource, your mind. The science is clear. Recovery is possible. Your brain can heal. Your natural reward system can be restored. Your capacity for genuine happiness, meaningful relationships, and authentic achievement can return. The only question is whether you're ready to begin the journey. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Choose wisely. Choose courageously. Choose the path that leads to genuine freedom and authentic happiness. Your brain and your life will thank you for it. Chapter 3. How Corn Kills Focus and Drive. You picked up this book because something inside you knows the truth. You feel it every day, that fog in your mind, that lack of energy, that feeling like you're not living up to your potential. You're not alone, and more importantly, you're not stuck. Today is the day you start taking back control of your life. The hidden enemy stealing your dreams isn't obvious. It doesn't announce itself with sirens or warning signs. It sneaks in quietly, promising quick relief and instant pleasure. But behind that promise lies one of the biggest thieves of human potential in our modern world, adult content. Right now, millions of people are walking around feeling tired, unfocused, and unmotivated. They wonder why they can't stick to their goals. They wonder why they start projects but never finish them. They wonder why their relationships feel empty and their work feels meaningless. What they don't realize is that their daily habits are literally rewiring their brains to crave instant gratification and avoid real challenges. Your brain is the most powerful computer ever created. But like any computer, what you put into it determines what you get out of it. When you consume adult content, you're not just watching something harmless. You're training your brain to expect intense pleasure without any effort. You're teaching it that the easy path is always better than the hard one. Think about it this way. Imagine you had a friend who came to you every day offering you candy. Free candy, whenever you wanted it with no work required. At first, it might seem great. But after weeks and months of this, what would happen to your desire to cook healthy meals? What had happened to your appreciation for the natural sweetness of an apple or the satisfaction of a home-cooked meal? This is exactly what happens to your brain with adult content. It gets so used to artificial, intense stimulation that normal life starts to feel boring. Real relationships feel too slow. Real goals feel too hard. Real achievements don't give you the same rush they used to. But here's the amazing news. Your brain is incredibly good at healing itself. Every day you choose to step away from artificial stimulation, you're giving your brain a chance to reset. You're allowing your natural motivation system to come back online. You're remembering what it feels like to be excited about real life again. The science behind this is clear. When you consume adult content, your brain releases massive amounts of dopamine, the same chemical that makes you feel motivated and excited about achieving goals. But when your brain gets flooded with dopamine from artificial sources, it starts to produce less of it naturally. This means you have less motivation for everything else in your life. Imagine having a garden. If you water one plant with a fire hose every day, giving it way more water than it needs, what happens to your desire to gently water the other plants? The fire hose plant gets all your attention, while the rest of your garden slowly dies from neglect. This is your life on adult content. The artificial stimulation gets the fire hose treatment, while your real goals, relationships, and dreams get neglected. Your career ambitions start wilting. Your desire to exercise fades away. Your interest in learning new skills disappears. Even your relationships with real people start feeling less interesting. The good news is that when you turn off the fire hose, your whole garden starts coming back to life. Your natural interests return. Your energy comes back. Your focus sharpens. Your willpower gets stronger. It's like watching a plant that was dying in the dark suddenly bloom when you put it in sunlight. Many people think willpower is something you either have or you don't. They think some people are just naturally more disciplined. This isn't true. Willpower is like a muscle. It gets stronger when you use it and weaker when you don't. But here's the key part. Adult content doesn't just avoid using your willpower muscle, it actually weakens it. Every time you choose instant gratification over delayed satisfaction, you're training your brain to take the easy path. Every time you choose artificial stimulation over real effort, you're making it harder to choose the difficult but rewarding path in other areas of your life. Think about the most successful people you know. They all have one thing in common. They can delay gratification. They can work hard today for rewards that won't come until tomorrow, next month, or next year. They can say no to immediate pleasure in order to say yes to long-term happiness. This ability isn't magic. It's a skill. And like any skill, you can develop it. But you can't develop it while you're constantly choosing the instant gratification option. It's like trying to build muscle while eating poison. Even if you're doing some good things, the poison is undermining all your progress. When you quit adult content, you're not just removing something negative from your life. You're creating space for something amazing to grow. You're giving your natural motivation system room to breathe. You're allowing your real interests and passions to surface again. In the first few days after quitting, you might feel uncomfortable. This is normal and actually a good sign. It means your brain is starting to adjust to normal levels of stimulation. It's like when you've been in a loud room for hours and then step outside. The quiet feels strange at first, but it's actually much healthier for your ears. During this adjustment period, you might feel bored more often. This is your brain learning to find excitement in normal activities again. Instead of fighting this boredom, embrace it. Use it as motivation to pick up that book you've been meaning to read, start that workout routine you've been putting off, or call that friend you haven't talked to in months. Your brain is incredibly adaptable. Right now, it might be wired for instant gratification, but it can be rewired for long-term satisfaction. Every day you choose real activities over artificial stimulation, you're building new neural pathways. You're training your brain to find joy in effort, growth, and real accomplishment. The change doesn't happen overnight, but it happens faster than you might think. Many people report feeling more energy within just a few days. Within a few weeks, they notice their focus improving. Within a few months, they're amazed at how much more motivated they feel about their real goals. Imagine waking up every morning excited about your day. Imagine having the energy to pursue that hobby you've always wanted to try. Imagine being fully present in conversations with people you care about. Imagine having the discipline to stick with challenging goals until you achieve them. This isn't fantasy. This is what happens when you free your brain from artificial stimulation. Your relationships will improve dramatically. When your brain isn't constantly craving artificial experiences, you become more interested in real people. You become a better listener. You become more emotionally available. You start noticing the small details that make real relationships beautiful and meaningful. Your work performance will skyrocket. Tasks that used to feel boring or difficult will become manageable and even enjoyable. You'll find yourself able to focus for longer periods. You'll have more creative ideas. You'll feel more motivated to take on challenging projects and see them through to completion. Your physical health will improve too. When your brain isn't foggy from artificial stimulation, you naturally make better choices. You'll want to exercise more. You'll sleep better. You'll eat healthier foods. Your energy levels will be higher throughout the day. But perhaps most importantly, you'll start feeling proud of yourself again. Every day you choose to avoid adult content is a victory. Every time you choose real activities over artificial ones, you're proving to yourself that you have the strength to change. This growing sense of self-respect and self-control will spill over into every area of your life. The path isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. There will be moments when you feel tempted to go back to old habits. This is normal. The key is to remember why you started this journey. Remember the person you want to become. Remember the goals you want to achieve. Remember the relationships you want to build. When temptation hits, don't just try to resist it, replace it with something better. Go for a walk. Call a friend. Do some push-ups. Read a few pages of a good book. Work on a creative project. The goal isn't just to avoid the negative, but to actively pursue the positive. Create new routines that support your new lifestyle. If you used to consume adult content first thing in the morning, make that your workout time instead. If you used to turn to it when stressed, have a list of healthy stress relief activities ready. If you used to use it when bored, have a list of engaging activities prepared. The people around you will start noticing changes in you, even if they can't identify exactly what's different. They'll see that you're more present, more energetic, more confident. They'll notice that you're more reliable, more focused, more ambitious. These changes will create positive feedback loops that make it easier to stick with your new lifestyle. Don't underestimate the power of small wins. Every hour you go without consuming adult content is a victory. Every day you choose real activities is progress. Every week you maintain your new habits is building momentum. Celebrate these victories. Be proud of your progress, even when it feels small. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. The person you'll be in 6 months, 1 year, 5 years from now is directly connected to the choices you're making right now. Every time you choose long-term satisfaction over instant gratification, you're investing in that future person. Think about your biggest dreams and goals. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to learn a new skill. Maybe you want to get in great shape. Maybe you want to build an amazing relationship. All of these dreams require focus, discipline, and sustained effort over time. Adult content steals all of these things from you. When you quit, you're not giving something up, you're getting your life back. You're reclaiming your energy, your focus, your motivation, and your time. You're choosing to invest in real growth instead of artificial stimulation. The world needs the best version of you. It needs your talents, your creativity, your unique perspective. But the best version of you can't emerge when your brain is constantly seeking artificial highs. It can only emerge when you're fully present, fully engaged, and fully committed to real growth. Remember that this journey is not about perfection. It's about progress. If you slip up, don't use it as an excuse to give up completely. Learn from it and get back on track. Each attempt makes you stronger and wiser. Each day of progress builds momentum for the next. Your brain wants to heal. Your body wants to be healthy. Your relationships want to be real and meaningful. Your career wants to flourish. Your goals want to be achieved. But all of these positive changes require one thing from you: the decision to step away from artificial stimulation and embrace real life. The time to start is now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after you finish just one more session. Right now. This moment is your moment. This is when you choose to take control of your life. This is when you choose to become the person you were meant to be. Your journey to freedom starts with a single decision, followed by another decision, and another. Each choice to avoid adult content and pursue real activities makes the next choice easier. Each day of progress makes you stronger. Each week of growth makes you more confident in your ability to change. You have everything you need inside you right now to succeed. You have the intelligence to understand why this change matters. You have the strength to make difficult choices. You have the creativity to find better ways to spend your time. You have the courage to face temporary discomfort for long-term benefits. The life you want is waiting for you on the other side of this decision. The focused, energetic, motivated version of yourself is ready to emerge. The meaningful relationships, the satisfying work, the achieved goals, they're all possible when you free your mind from artificial stimulation. Your story doesn't have to be defined by past habits. Your future doesn't have to be limited by current struggles. Every day is a new opportunity to choose a better path. Every moment is a chance to take one more step toward the life you really want. The journey won't always be smooth, but it will always be worth it. The person you'll become, the relationships you'll build, the goals you'll achieve, the pride you'll feel, these rewards are far greater than any temporary pleasure you're giving up. You picked up this book because you're ready for change. You're ready to reclaim your focus, your drive, your energy, and your life. You're ready to stop settling for artificial experiences and start creating real ones. You're ready to become the person you were always meant to be. The choice is yours, and the time is now. Your brain is ready to heal. Your life is ready to improve. Your future is ready to be amazing. All you have to do is take the first step, then the next one, then the next one after that. Welcome to your new life. Welcome to real freedom. Welcome to the focused, driven, energetic person you're about to become. Your journey starts today, and it starts with a single, powerful choice. The choice to say yes to real life and no to artificial substitutes. You've got this. Your future self is already thanking you for the decision you're about to make. The best chapter of your life is about to begin. Chapter 4, Corn and Real Relationships. You know something is wrong, even if you can't put your finger on it. Maybe your relationships feel empty. Maybe intimacy feels forced or disconnected. Maybe you find yourself comparing real people to impossible standards. Maybe you feel lonely even when you're with someone you care about. If any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and more importantly, there's hope. The problem isn't that you're broken or incapable of love. The problem is that adult content has been quietly rewiring your brain, changing how you see connection, intimacy, and real relationships. But just like any other form of programming, this can be undone. Today, we're going to explore how adult content blocks genuine closeness and how quitting can open the door to the most beautiful, meaningful relationships of your life. Real relationships are like gardens. They need time, patience, care, and attention to grow into something beautiful. Adult content is like artificial flowers. They might look appealing from a distance, but they have no life, no growth, no real beauty. When you get used to artificial flowers, real gardens start to seem like too much work. You forget how amazing it feels to watch something real grow and bloom. Every time you consume adult content, you're training your brain to expect instant satisfaction without any effort. Real relationships don't work this way. Real connection takes time to build. Real intimacy grows slowly through shared experiences, vulnerable conversations, and mutual care. When your brain is programmed for instant gratification, this natural process starts to feel boring or frustrating. Think about the difference between fast food and a home-cooked meal. Fast food is designed to hit your taste bud hard and fast. giving you immediate satisfaction. But it leaves you feeling empty afterward, and it ruins your ability to appreciate the subtle, complex flavors of real food. Adult content works the same way with relationships. It floods your system with artificial intensity while making you lose appreciation for the gentle, complex beauty of real connection. The people in adult content aren't real people. They're performers playing roles designed to trigger specific responses in your brain. They don't have bad days, complicated emotions, or human flaws. They don't need your patience, understanding, or emotional support. They don't require you to grow as a person or learn how to love someone else. This creates completely unrealistic expectations for what real relationships should look like. When you spend time with these artificial representations of intimacy, you start expecting real people to behave like performers. You expect them to always look perfect, always be available, always be in the mood, and always know exactly what you want without you having to communicate. These expectations are not just unrealistic, they're relationship killers. Real people have emotions that change throughout the day. They have insecurities, fears, and vulnerabilities. They have their own needs, desires, and boundaries. They require patience, communication, and compromise. When you're used to the fake world of adult content, these normal human qualities can start to feel like problems instead of the beautiful complexities that make real relationships meaningful. Adult content also teaches you to see people as objects for your satisfaction, rather than whole human beings with their own inner lives. In adult content, people exist solely to provide pleasure to the viewer. There's no emotional connection, no mutual care, no consideration of the other person's feelings or needs. This objectifying mindset seeps into your real relationships, making it harder to truly connect with others. When you objectify someone, even unconsciously, you stop seeing them as a complete person. You stop being curious about their thoughts, dreams, fears, and experiences. You stop wanting to make them happy for their own sake. You stop appreciating the small moments of connection that make relationships special. Instead, you start viewing them primarily through the lens of what they can do for you. This is devastating for intimacy. Real intimacy isn't just about physical connection. It's about emotional vulnerability, mutual understanding, and genuine care for each other's well-being. It's about feeling safe enough to share your true self with someone and having them do the same with you. Adult content trains you to focus only on the physical while completely ignoring the emotional and spiritual dimensions that make intimacy truly satisfying. The result is that even when you're physically close to someone, you feel emotionally distant. You might go through the motions of intimacy, but something feels missing. That something is genuine connection, the feeling of being truly seen, understood, and cared for by another person. Adult content also creates unrealistic expectations about how relationships should work. In adult content, everything happens instantly and perfectly. There's no awkwardness, no communication needed, no learning curve, no emotional preparation. Real relationships aren't like this. Real intimacy requires trust, which takes time to build. It requires communication about preferences, boundaries, and feelings. It requires patience with each other's learning process and emotional needs. When you expect real relationships to work like adult content, you become frustrated with the natural process of building connection. You might feel impatient when someone needs time to feel comfortable with you. You might feel annoyed when you need to actually talk about what you both want and need. You might feel disappointed when real intimacy includes moments of awkwardness, laughter, or simple human imperfection. But here's what adult content never shows you. These supposedly inconvenient aspects of real relationships are actually what make them beautiful and meaningful. The time it takes to build trust makes the connection more precious. The conversations about feelings and preferences create deeper understanding. The awkward moments become inside jokes. The imperfections become endearing. The gradual process of learning about each other becomes an adventure. Adult content strips away all of this richness and reduces human connection to its most superficial elements. It's like looking at a photo of a sunset instead of actually watching one. You might see the general idea, but you miss the changing colors, the feeling of the warm air, the sound of nature around you, and the peaceful satisfaction of witnessing something real and beautiful. The damage goes even deeper than unrealistic expectations. Adult content actually changes your brain's reward system in ways that make real relationships less satisfying. Your brain gets so used to the intense, artificial stimulation that normal human interaction starts to feel boring or insufficient. It's like someone who's been eating candy all day, trying to enjoy a piece of fruit. Their taste buds have been overwhelmed by artificial sweetness, so natural sweetness no longer registers as pleasurable. This creates a terrible cycle. The less satisfied you feel with real relationships, the more you turn to adult content for stimulation. The more you consume adult content, the less capable you become of appreciating real connection. Your relationships suffer, you feel lonely and disconnected, and you turn back to artificial stimulation to fill the void, but artificial stimulation is what created the void in the first place. Breaking this cycle requires understanding that your brain has been trained to expect something that doesn't exist in the real world. Adult content presents a fantasy version of human interaction that has as much in common with real relationships as video games have with real life. They might share some surface similarities, but the underlying experience is completely different. The good news is that your brain is incredibly adaptable. Just as it learned to crave artificial stimulation, it can learn to appreciate real connection again. Just as it developed unrealistic expectations, it can develop healthy ones. Just as it became focused on instant gratification, it can learn to value the slow, beautiful process of building genuine intimacy. When you quit adult content, you give your brain space to remember what real connection feels like. You start noticing things about people that you had stopped seeing. You become curious about their thoughts and feelings again. You start appreciating the small moments of kindness, understanding, and shared laughter that make relationships meaningful. Your ability to be present with others improves dramatically. Instead of having part of your mind always comparing the current moment to artificial standards, you can be fully engaged with the real person in front of you. You start seeing their unique beauty instead of focusing on how they don't match impossible ideals. You start valuing their individual personality instead of wishing they were more like a fantasy. As your appreciation for real people returns, you become a better partner and friend. You become more attentive to others' needs and feelings. You become more patient with the natural process of building connection. You become more interested in making others happy for their own sake, not just for what you get out of it. Your communication skills improve because you're no longer expecting others to read your mind or automatically know what you want. You start having real conversations about feelings, preferences, and boundaries. These conversations, which might have seemed unnecessary or awkward before, become opportunities for deeper connection and understanding. You also become more emotionally available. Adult content teaches you to disconnect from emotions during intimate moments, focusing only on physical sensations. When you quit, you rediscover the emotional dimension of connection. You start feeling the joy of making someone else happy, the warmth of being truly close to another person, and the satisfaction of mutual care and affection. The changes in your relationships will be dramatic and beautiful. Your partner will notice that you're more present, more attentive, and more genuinely interested in them as a person. They'll feel more valued and appreciated. They'll sense that you see them as a whole person rather than just focusing on what they can provide for you. If you're single, you'll find that you're more attractive to potential partners because you'll be genuinely interested in getting to know them. You'll ask better questions, listen more carefully to their answers, and show real curiosity about their lives and experiences. People are naturally drawn to those who see them as complete, valuable individuals. Your friendships will improve too. Adult content doesn't just affect romantic relationships, it affects how you relate to all people. When you stop objectifying people, you become a better friend. You become more supportive, more loyal, and more interested in others' well-being. You stop seeing friendships as transactional and start appreciating them for the mutual care and companionship they provide. The process of rebuilding your relationship skills takes time, but every day brings noticeable improvements. In the first few weeks after quitting adult content, you might feel awkward in social situations as your brain adjusts to focusing on real people instead of artificial stimuli. This is normal and temporary. You're essentially learning how to connect with people all over again, but this time in a healthy way. During this adjustment period, be patient with yourself and others. Don't expect instant perfection in your relationships. Remember that you're unlearning years of artificial programming and relearning natural ways of connecting. Give yourself credit for every small improvement, every moment of genuine connection, every conversation where you're fully present. Practice seeing people as complete individuals rather than as objects for your satisfaction. When you meet someone, instead of immediately judging their appearance against unrealistic standards, try to be curious about their personality, their experiences, their thoughts and feelings. Ask questions and actually listen to the answers. Show genuine interest in their lives beyond what directly affects you. Work on developing emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and respond to emotions, both your own and others. Adult content teaches you to ignore emotions and focus only on physical aspects, but real relationships thrive on emotional connection. Learn to recognize when someone is happy, sad, anxious, or excited, and respond with appropriate care and support. Practice vulnerability in appropriate ways. Real intimacy requires the courage to share your true self with others and allow them to do the same with you. This doesn't mean oversharing with everyone you meet, but it does mean being willing to have real, honest conversations with people you're close to. Share your thoughts, fears, dreams, and experiences. Ask others about theirs. Develop patience with the natural timing of relationships. Real connection can't be rushed or forced. It grows gradually through shared experiences, consistent care, and mutual trust. Don't expect immediate intensity or perfect compatibility. Appreciate the slow process of getting to know someone and allowing them to get to know you. Learn to appreciate imperfection in yourself and others. Adult content presents impossible standards of physical perfection and sexual performance, but real people have flaws, insecurities, and limitations. These human qualities aren't problems to be solved. They're opportunities for compassion, understanding, and deeper connection. Your own imperfections make you relatable and authentic. Others' imperfections give you chances to show love and acceptance. Focus on giving rather than just receiving in relationships. Adult content is entirely focused on what you can get from others, but real relationships are built on mutual care and generosity. Look for ways to make others happy, support their goals, and show that you value them. This doesn't mean being selfless to the point of self-destruction, but it does mean caring about others' well-being for their own sake. Celebrate small moments of connection. Real relationships aren't built on grand gestures or perfect experiences. They're built on thousands of small, positive interactions. A genuine compliment, a moment of shared laughter, a supportive comment during a difficult day, a text message checking in on someone. These seemingly minor moments are what create strong, lasting bonds between people. As you rebuild your capacity for real connection, you'll discover that genuine relationships are far more satisfying than anything adult content ever provided. Real intimacy involves your whole self, your mind, heart, and spirit, not just your body. Real love grows stronger over time, instead of requiring constant novelty to maintain interest. Real connection makes you feel valued as a complete person, rather than just as a source of physical satisfaction. The person who truly loves you will appreciate your quirks, support you through difficulties, celebrate your successes, and stand by you through life's ups and downs. They'll value your thoughts, respect your boundaries, and care about your happiness. This kind of love is worth waiting for and working toward, and it's only possible when you're capable of offering the same to someone else. Your future relationships have potential to be more beautiful, meaningful, and satisfying than anything you can imagine right now. But that potential can only be realized when you free your mind from artificial expectations and programming. When you quit adult content, you're not giving up pleasure. You're making room for real joy, real intimacy, and real love to enter your life. The choice you make today about adult content is really a choice about what kind of relationships you want to have. Do you want artificial stimulation that leaves you feeling empty and disconnected? Or do you want real connection that fills your life with meaning, joy, and genuine intimacy? Your heart already knows the answer. Deep down, you crave real connection with real people who see you, value you, and care about you as a complete person. You want relationships built on mutual respect, understanding, and affection. You want to be able to give and receive love freely, without the barriers that artificial stimulation creates. The path to these beautiful relationships starts with a single decision, the decision to step away from artificial connection and make room for real intimacy to grow in your life. Every day you choose real people over artificial stimulation, you're opening your heart a little wider and preparing yourself for the kind of love that will truly satisfy your deepest longings. Your future partner is out there, waiting for the real you, not the version of you that's been shaped by artificial expectations, but the authentic, caring, emotionally available person you were meant to be. Your future friends are waiting for someone who sees them as valuable individuals worthy of genuine care and attention. Your future relationships are waiting for you to show up as your true self. The journey back to real connection starts now. Every moment you choose to focus on real people instead of artificial stimuli, you're taking a step toward the meaningful relationships your heart truly desires. You have everything within you right now to build beautiful, lasting connections with others. All you need to do is clear away the artificial barriers and allow your natural capacity for love and connection to flourish. Welcome to a life of genuine intimacy, real love, and meaningful connection. Your heart is ready, your future relationships are waiting, and the first step begins with a choice you make right now. Chapter 5: The Mental Health Cost. Your mind is a powerful engine, capable of incredible focus, creativity, and joy. But when adult content becomes part of your daily routine, this amazing machine starts running on the wrong fuel. Today, we're going to explore how cutting out adult content doesn't just change your habits, it completely transforms your mental landscape, bringing back the clarity, confidence, and inner peace you may have forgotten you once had. The hidden weight you've been carrying. Every time you consume adult content, your brain releases a flood of chemicals. Dopamine, the reward chemical, spikes dramatically. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't the same as natural pleasure. It's an artificial high that leaves your brain scrambling to return to normal levels. Think about how you feel in the hours after consuming this content. There's often a crash, isn't there? A feeling of emptiness, maybe some guilt or shame creeping in. Your energy feels drained, and tasks that should be simple suddenly feel overwhelming. This isn't coincidence. This is your brain trying to recover from an artificial stimulation that it was never designed to handle regularly. When you make the decision to quit, you're not just changing a habit. You're giving your brain permission to heal and return to its natural state. The fog that you might not even realize has been clouding your thoughts will begin to lift. The constant underlying anxiety that feels like background noise in your mind will start to quiet down. The anxiety connection you never saw coming. Adult content consumption creates a unique form of anxiety that many people don't connect to their viewing habits. Your nervous system becomes hyper-aroused, constantly on edge, waiting for the next dopamine hit. This creates a state of chronic stress that your body interprets as danger, even when you're sitting safely in your own home. This anxiety shows up in surprising ways. Maybe you find yourself more irritable with family and friends. Perhaps you struggle to sit through a movie without checking your phone. You might notice that small problems feel bigger than they should, or that you're constantly restless, unable to truly relax and be present in the moment. When you remove adult content from your life, something beautiful happens to your nervous system. It begins to remember what true calm feels like. The constant state of alert starts to fade, replaced by a deeper, more sustainable sense of peace. Your body learns to relax again, and with that relaxation comes a clarity of thought that you may not have experienced in years. Reclaiming your natural confidence. Confidence isn't something you find in a self-help book or a motivational video. True confidence comes from knowing yourself, trusting your decisions, and feeling aligned with your values. Adult content consumption creates a disconnect between who you want to be and how you actually spend your time and energy. Every time you consume this content, especially if it conflicts with your values or goals, you're sending a message to yourself that you can't be trusted with your own decisions. This erosion of self-trust is one of the most damaging aspects of regular adult content use, and it happens so gradually that you might not even notice it's occurring. But when you make the commitment to quit, you're making a powerful statement to yourself. You're saying that you value your mental health more than temporary pleasure. You're choosing long-term well-being over immediate gratification. Each day that you maintain this commitment, your confidence grows stronger, not because of external achievements, but because you're proving to yourself that you can keep promises you make to yourself. This rebuilt confidence shows up everywhere in your life. Conversations become easier because you're not carrying the weight of secret habits. Decision-making becomes clearer because your mind isn't clouded by shame or distraction. You start taking on challenges that you previously avoided, not because quitting adult content magically gave you new skills, but because you now trust yourself to follow through on difficult commitments. The stress that's been hiding in plain sight. Chronic stress from adult content consumption is sneaky. It doesn't announce itself with obvious symptoms like work stress or relationship problems do. Instead, it operates in the background, slowly wearing down your mental resilience and emotional stability. This stress manifests as decision fatigue. Simple choices become harder because your brain is constantly managing the internal conflict between what you know is good for you and what provides immediate gratification. You might find yourself feeling overwhelmed by daily tasks that should be routine, or struggling to prioritize important goals because everything feels equally urgent and equally pointless at the same time. The stress also shows up in your relationships. When your brain is regularly flooded with artificial stimulation, real human connection can feel dull or unsatisfying by comparison. Conversations with friends and family might feel forced or boring. Romantic relationships can suffer as your expectations become unrealistic and your ability to be fully present becomes compromised. As you distance yourself from adult content, this hidden stress begins to dissolve. Your brain starts to find satisfaction in simpler pleasures again. A good conversation becomes genuinely engaging. A sunset looks beautiful without needing to be Instagram-worthy. Your relationship with others deepens because you're no longer comparing real human interaction to the artificial scenarios you've been consuming. The self-esteem revolution. Low self-esteem from adult content consumption isn't just about feeling bad about the habit itself. It's about the gradual shift in how you see yourself and your place in the world. Regular consumption can create unrealistic expectations about relationships, appearance, and performance that make real life feel inadequate by comparison. You might start to judge your own worth based on these artificial standards, feeling like you don't measure up to what you've been consuming. This comparison trap extends beyond intimate relationships into all areas of life. Your career achievements might feel insignificant, your appearance might never seem good enough, and your social skills might feel awkward compared to the smooth interactions you see on screen. When you eliminate adult content, you begin to reconnect with realistic expectations and genuine self-worth. Your self-esteem stops being dependent on comparison to artificial scenarios and starts being built on real achievements, authentic relationships, and personal growth. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it follows a predictable pattern. First, you stop feeling actively bad about yourself. The shame and guilt associated with the habit begin to fade. Then you start noticing small improvements in how you feel about your decisions and your self-control. Finally, you begin to genuinely appreciate your own qualities and achievements without needing to compare them to unrealistic standards. The mental clarity that changes everything. Perhaps the most dramatic change that comes from quitting adult content is the return of mental clarity. When your brain isn't constantly anticipating the next dopamine hit, it can focus its energy on the tasks and goals that actually matter to you. This clarity shows up as improved concentration. You can read a book for longer periods without your mind wandering. Work tasks that used to feel tedious become more engaging because your brain isn't constantly seeking more stimulating distractions. Creative projects become more appealing because your mind has space to explore ideas without being pulled toward artificial stimulation. The clarity also improves your emotional intelligence. You become better at recognizing your own feelings and needs, rather than using adult content as a way to avoid or numb difficult emotions. This increased self-awareness helps you make better decisions in all areas of your life, from career choices to relationship decisions to daily habits. Your problem-solving abilities improve as well. When your mind isn't foggy from artificial stimulation and the subsequent crashes, you can think more clearly about challenges and opportunities. Solutions that were previously hidden become obvious, and you find yourself approaching problems with renewed creativity and persistence, breaking the cycle of avoidance. Adult content consumption often becomes a form of emotional avoidance. Feeling stressed about work? There's an easy escape. Worried about a relationship issue? Here's a temporary distraction. Anxious about your future? This will help you forget about it for a while. While this might provide short-term relief, it prevents you from developing healthy coping mechanisms for life's inevitable challenges. Instead of learning to process difficult emotions or solve problems directly, you learn to avoid them through artificial stimulation. When you quit adult content, you're forced to develop better ways of handling stress, anxiety, and uncertainty. This might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's actually one of the most valuable gifts you can give yourself. You learn to sit with difficult emotions without immediately seeking escape. You develop patience with problems that don't have quick solutions. You build resilience by facing challenges head-on rather than avoiding them. These new coping skills benefit every area of your life. Work stress becomes more manageable because you're not avoiding it. Relationship conflicts get resolved more quickly because you're willing to have difficult conversations. Personal goals become achievable because you're not using artificial stimulation to avoid the discomfort of growth and change. The energy you forgot you had. Mental energy is finite, and adult content consumption drains more of it than most people realize. The constant cycle of anticipation, consumption, and recovery takes enormous amounts of cognitive resources that could be used for more meaningful pursuits. Think about how much mental energy goes into the habit itself. Planning when and where to consume content, managing the secrecy or shame around it, dealing with the emotional aftermath, and fighting internal battles about whether to quit or continue. All of this mental activity is exhausting, even if it happens largely below the level of conscious awareness. When you eliminate adult content, you suddenly have access to energy reserves you've forgotten existed. Tasks that previously felt overwhelming become manageable. Hobbies and interests that had lost their appeal become exciting again. Social interactions become less draining because you're not using energy to manage internal conflicts or shame. This renewed energy creates a positive cycle. You have more resources to invest in meaningful activities, which gives you a greater sense of purpose and satisfaction, which makes it easier to maintain your commitment to avoiding adult content, which gives you even more energy to invest in your goals and relationships. Rebuilding your relationship with pleasure. One of the most profound changes that comes from quitting adult content is learning to experience pleasure in a healthy, sustainable way again. When your brain is accustomed to artificial highs, natural pleasures can seem boring or insufficient by comparison. But as your brain heals from artificial stimulation, you begin to rediscover the joy in simple things. A good meal tastes better. Music becomes more moving. Physical exercise feels more satisfying. Time spent in nature becomes genuinely refreshing rather than just an obligation or photo opportunity. This rekindled appreciation for natural pleasure has a stabilizing effect on your mood and motivation. Instead of needing increasingly intense stimulation to feel good, you can find satisfaction in the everyday experiences that make up most of life. This makes you more resilient to stress and less dependent on external circumstances for your sense of well-being. Your relationships improve as well, because you can be fully present and engage with other people without needing constant stimulation to maintain interest. Conversations become more satisfying, and you can appreciate the subtle pleasures of human connection without comparing them to artificial alternatives. The emotional freedom you've been seeking. Perhaps the most transformative aspect of quitting adult content is the emotional freedom that follows. When you're no longer caught in cycles of artificial stimulation and subsequent shame, your emotional range expands dramatically. Negative emotions become more manageable because you're not amplifying them with guilt and shame about your habits. Positive emotions become more accessible because you're not numbing yourself with artificial alternatives. You develop a more authentic relationship with your own feelings, which improves every aspect of your life. This emotional freedom also extends to your relationships with others. You can be more genuine because you're not hiding significant aspects of your behavior or managing shame about your habits. You can be more present because your attention isn't divided between the person in front of you and thoughts about when you'll next consume adult content. The freedom also shows up in how you spend your time and energy. Without the compulsive pull toward artificial stimulation, you can make choices based on your genuine interests and values rather than on addiction-driven impulses. Your days become more intentional, your goals become clearer, and your sense of purpose becomes stronger. Building a life worth living. When you quit adult content, you're not just eliminating a harmful habit, you're making space for a life that aligns with your deepest values and aspirations. The time, energy, and mental resources that were previously consumed by this habit become available for pursuits that actually contribute to your long-term happiness and fulfillment. This might mean pursuing creative projects you've been putting off, investing more deeply in relationships that matter to you, or finally taking steps toward career goals that you've been avoiding. It might mean developing new skills, exploring spiritual practices, or simply allowing yourself to rest and recover from years of artificial stimulation. The key is that these choices become available to you again. When your brain isn't constantly seeking the next dopamine hit, you can make decisions based on what will truly serve your well-being, rather than what will provide immediate gratification. Building this new life requires patience with yourself and realistic expectations about the timeline of change. The most dramatic improvements in mental health often take weeks or months to fully manifest. But the fact that you've made the commitment to quit is already a victory worth celebrating. The ripple effects of your decision. Your decision to quit adult content doesn't just affect you. It creates positive ripples that extend throughout your entire life. As your mental health improves, you become a better partner, friend, family member, and colleague. Your increased presence and reduced anxiety make you more enjoyable to be around. Your greater self-confidence and clarity make you more effective in your work and personal projects. These improvements in your relationships and effectiveness create additional positive feedback loops. Better relationships reduce stress and increase life satisfaction. Greater effectiveness at work or in personal projects builds legitimate self-confidence. These improvements make it even easier to maintain your commitment to avoiding adult content because your life becomes genuinely more satisfying without it. The ripple effects can even extend to others around you. As you model healthier relationships with pleasure, technology, and self-discipline, you might inspire friends or family members to examine their own habits and make positive changes. Your commitment to your mental health gives others permission to prioritize their well-being as well. Practical strategies for mental health recovery. While understanding the benefits of quitting adult content is important, having practical strategies for managing the transition is essential. Your brain will need time to adjust to operating without artificial stimulation, and during this adjustment period, you'll need healthy alternatives for managing stress, boredom, and difficult emotions. Physical exercise is one of the most effective tools for supporting your mental health during this transition. It provides natural mood enhancement through endorphin release, helps manage stress and anxiety, and gives you a productive way to channel energy that might otherwise be directed toward artificial stimulation. Mindfulness and meditation practices can help you develop a healthier relationship with your thoughts and feelings. Instead of immediately seeking escape when difficult emotions arise, you learn to observe them with curiosity and compassion, allowing them to pass naturally without needing to numb or avoid them. Creative activities provide a satisfying outlet for the mental energy that's no longer being consumed by adult content habits. Whether it's writing, music, art, cooking, or any other form of creative expression, these activities help rebuild your capacity for finding satisfaction in meaningful pursuits. Social connection becomes even more important during the recovery process. Spending time with friends and family who support your goals provides accountability, reduces isolation, and reminds you of what you're working toward. If possible, consider finding others who are on a similar journey of eliminating harmful habits and building healthier lifestyles. Your new relationship with difficult emotions. One of the most valuable skills you'll develop through quitting adult content is learning to navigate difficult emotions without immediately seeking escape. This skill serves you far beyond the specific challenge of avoiding artificial stimulation. It becomes a foundation for emotional resilience in all areas of life. Anxiety, instead of being something to immediately numb or avoid, becomes information about what might need attention in your life. Sadness becomes an opportunity for processing loss or disappointment, rather than something to quickly escape. Anger becomes energy that can be channeled toward positive change rather than something to suppress with artificial distractions. This doesn't mean that difficult emotions become pleasant, but they become manageable. You develop confidence in your ability to experience the full range of human emotions without being overwhelmed by them or needing to immediately alter them through artificial means. The person you're becoming. As your mental health improves through eliminating adult content, you'll notice that you're not just returning to who you were before, you're becoming someone even better. The discipline required to quit and maintain this commitment builds character strengths that serve you in every area of life. You become more reliable to yourself and others because you've proven that you can keep difficult commitments. You become more resilient because you've learned to tolerate discomfort without seeking immediate relief. You become more authentic because you're no longer managing shame and secrecy around significant aspects of your behavior. These character developments create a positive identity shift. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who struggles with self-control, you begin to see yourself as someone who makes difficult but important commitments and follows through on them. This new identity becomes self-reinforcing, making it easier to continue making healthy choices across all areas of your life. Looking forward with hope and realistic expectations. The journey of recovering your mental health through quitting adult content is not always linear or easy. There will likely be moments of difficulty, times when you question whether the effort is worth it, and perhaps setbacks that require you to recommit to your goals. These challenges are normal and expected parts of the process. They don't mean you're failing or that recovery isn't possible for you. They simply mean that you're human, and that changing deeply ingrained habits requires patience, persistence, and self-compassion. The key is to focus on the long-term trajectory rather than day-to-day fluctuations. Even if progress feels slow or inconsistent, every day that you choose your mental health over artificial stimulation is a victory worth celebrating. Every time you handle a difficult emotion without seeking escape, you're building resilience. Every moment of clarity and presence you experience is evidence that your brain is healing and returning to its natural state. Your mental health is worth the effort. As we conclude this exploration of how quitting adult content transforms your mental health, remember that the effort required to make this change is one of the best investments you can make in your future well-being. The anxiety, stress, and low self-esteem that may currently feel like permanent fixtures of your mental landscape are actually symptoms that will improve as you maintain your commitment to healthier habits. The clarity, confidence, and peace of mind that await you are not distant dreams. They are natural states that your brain wants to return to. Every day that you choose to avoid adult content is a day that you're moving closer to rediscovering the mental energy, emotional freedom, and genuine self-respect that make life truly satisfying. Your mental health matters. Your peace of mind matters. Your ability to be fully present in your own life matters. The person you're becoming through this commitment is someone worth all the effort it takes to get there. Trust in your ability to make this change, be patient with the process, and celebrate every step forward, no matter how small it might seem. The journey back to mental clarity and emotional freedom is challenging, but it's also one of the most meaningful and rewarding commitments you can make to yourself. Your future self will thank you for having the courage to begin and the persistence to continue, even when it's difficult. Your mental health recovery starts with this single decision and continues with each choice you make to prioritize your well-being over temporary pleasure. You have everything you need to succeed and every reason to believe that a clearer, more confident, and more peaceful version of yourself is not only possible, but inevitable if you stay committed to this path. Chapter 6: Freedom and Rebuilding Yourself. The moment you decide to break free from adult content is the moment your real life begins. Right now, as you read these words, you're standing at the edge of a transformation so powerful, it will change everything about who you are and who you can become. This isn't just about stopping one habit, this is about rebuilding yourself from the ground up into the person you were always meant to be. Think about it for a moment. Every single day that you've been trapped in this cycle, your real self has been waiting patiently for you to return. Your authentic self, your powerful self, your disciplined self, they've all been there, just beneath the surface, ready to emerge the moment you decide to take control. Today is that moment. Today, you begin the journey back to yourself. The first thing you need to understand is that freedom isn't just the absence of adult content in your life. Freedom is what fills that space once it's gone. Freedom is waking up each morning with energy that belongs entirely to you. Freedom is looking at yourself in the mirror and feeling proud of the person staring back. Freedom is having the mental clarity to pursue your dreams without the fog of shame clouding your vision. Freedom is the confidence that comes from knowing you control your desires, not the other way around. But here's what most people don't tell you about this journey. It's not just about stopping something negative. It's about starting something incredible. When you quit adult content, you don't just remove a bad habit from your life. You create space for greatness. You open up mental bandwidth that's been hijacked for years. You reclaim energy that's been drained from you daily. You return to a version of yourself that's been buried under layers of quick fixes and instant gratification. The path to freedom starts with understanding why you want to be free. This isn't about following someone else's rules or living up to someone else's standards. This is about recognizing what adult content has stolen from you and deciding you want it back. It's about acknowledging that every minute spent consuming this content is a minute not spent building the life you actually want to live. Your brain right now is like a garden that's been overrun with weeds. The weeds didn't grow overnight, and they won't disappear overnight either. But here's the beautiful truth. Underneath those weeds, fertile soil is waiting. Strong roots are ready to grow. Beautiful flowers are ready to bloom. You just need to start pulling those weeds and planting better seeds. The first practical step in your freedom journey is creating what we call a clean environment. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you realize. If your phone, computer, or living space is filled with triggers and easy access to adult content, you're making your journey unnecessarily difficult. Start by removing every easy path to this content. Delete apps, install blocking software, change your browsing habits, and rearrange your physical space. Make accessing adult content require multiple deliberate steps instead of being just one click away. But removing access is only the beginning. The real work starts when you begin replacing those old patterns with new ones. Your brain has learned to associate certain times, places, and feelings with consuming adult content. Now you need to teach it new associations. When you feel the urge to consume adult content, That's actually your brain asking for something, usually stimulation, escape, or comfort. Your job is to give it those things in healthier ways. When you feel that familiar urge rising up, instead of fighting it directly, redirect it. Go for a walk. Do push-ups. Call a friend. Read a book. Write in a journal. Take a cold shower. The specific activity matters less than the pattern you're creating. You're teaching your brain that when it asks for stimulation, you'll give it real, meaningful stimulation instead of the artificial kind it's been getting. This is where discipline comes in, but not the kind of discipline you might think. Real discipline isn't about white-knuckling your way through cravings. Real discipline is about creating systems and habits that make good choices automatic. It's about setting up your life so that the right thing is also the easy thing. Start your day with intention. Before you even pick up your phone or turn on your computer, take 5 minutes to remind yourself who you're becoming and why this journey matters. Write down 3 things you're grateful for and 3 things you want to accomplish that day. This simple practice creates momentum in the right direction from the moment you wake up. Throughout the day, practice what we call micro-wins. These are small victories that build your confidence and strengthen your discipline muscle. Make your bed. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Choose water over soda. Say no to something you don't really want to do. Each of these small choices might seem insignificant, but they're actually building the foundation of a disciplined life. They're proving to yourself that you can make good choices, that you can control your impulses, that you can be the person you want to be. Physical exercise becomes incredibly important in this journey. Your body has been used to getting artificial stimulation through adult content. Now it needs to learn how to create natural stimulation through movement. Exercise releases the same feel-good chemicals that your brain has been seeking, but in a way that builds you up instead of tearing you down. Start small. Even a 10-minute walk is better than nothing. But be consistent. Your brain needs to learn that feeling good comes from taking care of your body, not from artificial stimulation. Sleep becomes your secret weapon. Most people don't realize how much their adult content consumption is connected to poor sleep habits. When you're tired, your willpower is weak. When your willpower is weak, you make poor choices. When you make poor choices, you feel bad about yourself. When you feel bad about yourself, you seek comfort in adult content. It's a cycle that keeps you trapped. Break the cycle by prioritizing good sleep. Go to bed at the same time every night. Create a bedtime routine that doesn't involve screens. Make your bedroom a sanctuary for rest, not a place where you consume content. As you build these new habits, you'll start to notice something incredible happening. You'll have more energy. Your mind will feel clearer. You'll be more present in conversations. You'll feel more confident in social situations. You'll start to remember what it feels like to be genuinely interested in real life instead of constantly seeking escape from it. But here's what you need to prepare for. There will be difficult days. Your brain will try to convince you that you're missing out, that life is boring without adult content, that you can't handle stress or loneliness without your old coping mechanism. These thoughts are normal, and they're temporary. They're like withdrawal symptoms, uncomfortable but not dangerous, and they get weaker with time. When these difficult moments come, remember why you started. Remember that every craving you resist makes you stronger. Remember that every day you choose freedom over instant gratification is a day you're building the life you actually want. Remember that the person you're becoming is worth more than the temporary pleasure you're giving up. Create a vision of your future self. What does your life look like 1 year from now when you're completely free from adult content? How do you feel about yourself? What new skills have you developed? What relationships have you built or improved? What goals have you achieved with all the time and energy you've reclaimed? Make this vision so clear and compelling that it pulls you forward even when the journey gets tough. Find ways to serve others. One of the most powerful aspects of recovery is realizing that your struggle can help someone else. Share your journey with trusted friends or family members. Join support groups or online communities. Mentor someone who's earlier in their journey than you are. When you're focused on helping others, you're less likely to get stuck in your own struggles. Develop new interests and passions. Adult content consumption often happens when you're bored or understimulated. Fill that void with activities that genuinely interest you. Learn a new skill. Start a hobby. Take a class. Join a sports team. The goal is to make your real life so interesting and fulfilling that artificial stimulation loses its appeal. Build real relationships. Adult content can make you feel like you're connecting with others, but it's actually isolating you. Real connection happens when you're present, vulnerable, and authentic with other people. Invest time in your friendships. Have deeper conversations with family members. If you're single, focus on building genuine connections instead of seeking quick physical gratification. If you're in a relationship, work on being more present and intimate with your partner. Practice gratitude daily. When you're regularly consuming adult content, it's easy to focus on what you don't have, what you're missing, what you want but can't get. Gratitude shifts your focus to what you do have, what's already good in your life, what's worth protecting and appreciating. Every morning and every evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. This simple practice rewires your brain to notice the positive instead of constantly seeking more stimulation. Learn to sit with discomfort. Much of adult content consumption is about escaping uncomfortable feelings, boredom, loneliness, stress, anxiety, sadness. But these feelings aren't dangerous. They're just information. They're your emotions trying to tell you something about your life or your needs. Instead of immediately seeking escape, practice sitting with these feelings. Notice them. Breathe through them. Ask what they're trying to tell you. Often, the discomfort will pass on its own if you just give it space. Celebrate your progress. Recovery isn't just about reaching some final destination where you never think about adult content again. It's about celebrating every day, every week, every month that you choose freedom. Mark your milestones. Reward yourself for your progress. Share your victories with people who support you. Let yourself feel proud of the hard work you're doing. Create new routines that support your goals. Your old routines probably included times and places where you regularly consumed adult content. Now you need new routines that support your new life. What will you do instead of looking at adult content first thing in the morning or last thing at night? How will you structure your free time? What will your weekend routines look like? Plan these things intentionally instead of leaving them to chance. Understand that setbacks don't erase progress. If you slip up, it doesn't mean you're back at square one. It doesn't mean you're weak or hopeless or destined to fail. It means you're human and you're learning. The difference between someone who succeeds and someone who doesn't isn't that they never fall down. It's that they get back up quickly instead of staying down. If you have a setback, acknowledge it honestly, learn from it, and immediately return to your healthy habits. Develop a strong morning routine. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Instead of reaching for your phone first thing in the morning, create a routine that energizes and focuses you. This might include meditation, journaling, exercise, reading, or planning your day. The specific activities matter less than the consistency and intentionality. Learn to redirect sexual energy. Sexual energy is natural and healthy, but adult content teaches you to waste it on artificial stimulation. Learn to channel that energy into creative pursuits, physical activities, relationship building, or personal growth. This energy can fuel incredible achievements and personal transformation when it's directed properly. Find accountability partners. Share your goals with people you trust and respect. Ask them to check in with you regularly about your progress. Be honest about your struggles and victories. Having others invested in your success makes you more likely to follow through on your commitments to yourself. Study successful people who've walked this path before you. Read books, watch videos, listen to podcasts by people who successfully overcome adult content addiction. Learn from their strategies, their mindset, their approach to challenges. You don't have to figure everything out on your own. There's wisdom available from people who've already achieved what you're working toward. Practice mindfulness throughout the day. Mindfulness is simply paying attention to the present moment without judgment. Most adult content consumption happens when you're on autopilot, not really aware of what you're doing or why. Mindfulness brings you back to conscious choice. Throughout the day, pause and ask yourself, what am I doing right now? Why am I doing it? Is this moving me toward my goals or away from them? Invest in personal development. Use the time and energy you're reclaiming to become a better version of yourself. Read books that challenge you. Take courses that teach you new skills. Work with a therapist or coach if you need professional support. Attend workshops or seminars. Your investment in yourself pays dividends in every area of your life. Create meaningful goals beyond just quitting adult content. What do you want to achieve in your career? What kind of relationships do you want to build? What skills do you want to develop? What experiences do you want to have? When your life is full of meaningful pursuits, there's less room and less desire for empty pursuits. Learn to enjoy simple pleasures. Adult content trains your brain to need intense stimulation to feel good. Real life offers subtler but more lasting pleasures: a beautiful sunset, a good conversation, accomplishment at work, a home-cooked meal, a good book. Practice noticing and appreciating these simple pleasures. They're available to you every day if you're present enough to notice them. Build financial discipline alongside personal discipline. Many people spend significant money on adult content without realizing it. Calculate how much you've been spending and redirect that money towards something that builds your future: an emergency fund, investments, education, experiences that enrich your life. Seeing the tangible financial benefits of your new lifestyle reinforces your commitment to it. Understand the science of habit change. Habits have three components: a cue, trigger, a routine, behavior, and a reward, benefit. To change a habit, you need to identify your cues and replace the routine while still getting a reward. If stress is your cue and relaxation is your reward, you need to find a new routine that gives you relaxation without involving adult content. Maybe that's exercise, meditation, or talking to a friend. Practice saying no to other instant gratifications. Your ability to delay gratification in one area of life strengthens your ability to delay gratification in all areas. Practice saying no to impulse purchases, junk food, mindless scrolling on social media, or other activities that provide immediate pleasure but don't serve your long-term goals. Develop emotional intelligence. Much of adult content consumption is driven by emotions you don't know how to handle in healthier ways. Learn to identify your emotions accurately. Understand what triggers them. Develop healthy ways to process and express them. The better you get at handling your emotions, the less you'll need artificial ways to escape from them. Create a supportive environment at home. Make your living space a place that supports your goals rather than undermining them. Remove triggers. Add books, plants, art, or other things that inspire and energize you. Make your space a sanctuary where you feel calm and focused rather than tempted or agitated. Learn to be alone with yourself without needing entertainment. Many people consume adult content because they can't handle being alone with their own thoughts. Practice sitting quietly without any external stimulation. Start with just a few minutes and gradually increase. Learn to enjoy your own company. This skill will serve you in every area of life. Set clear boundaries with technology. Decide when and where you'll use your phone, computer, and internet. Create phone-free times and spaces. Use apps or settings that limit your access to triggering content. Make technology serve your goals rather than distract you from them. Remember that this journey is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about never having another tempting thought. It's about choosing your response to those thoughts. It's not about becoming someone completely different overnight. It's about gradually becoming more of who you already are underneath all the habits and patterns that aren't serving you. Every single day that you choose freedom over instant gratification, you're not just avoiding something negative. You're actively building something positive. You're building self-respect. You're building confidence. You're building mental clarity. You're building energy. You're building the foundation for a life that's truly yours, not one that's dictated by artificial stimulation and immediate gratification. The life that's waiting for you on the other side of this journey is more beautiful than you can imagine right now. It's a life where you wake up excited about your day instead of already feeling drained. It's a life where you're present in conversations instead of distracted by thoughts of your next fix. It's a life where you pursue real goals instead of escaping from real life. It's a life where you form genuine connections instead of settling for artificial ones. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it starts today. It starts with this moment. It starts with this choice. You have everything you need to begin. You have the wisdom to recognize that adult content isn't serving you. You have the courage to want something better. You have the strength to take the first step. And most importantly, you have the person you're becoming waiting for you to claim your freedom. Your journey to freedom and rebuilding yourself begins now. Every step forward is a victory. Every choice to prioritize your long-term goals over immediate gratification is a triumph. Every day you choose to build rather than escape is a day you're reclaiming your life. The person you're becoming is proud of you for starting this journey. The person you'll be 1 year from now is grateful that you made this choice today. Your future self is counting on your present self to stay committed to this path. You have what it takes. You are worth the effort. Your freedom is worth fighting for. Start today. Start right now. Your real life is waiting.